When the Khaos first came out, it was like a little gift from heaven for a rider like myself. It was the perfect blend of mountain sled and kind of off-trail free ride fun sled. What we have here today is a 2023 Polaris Khaos 850 Boost Slash. So what is a Khaos Slash? Well, before we go any further, I just kind of want to fill you in on what this sled actually is, because it's pretty interesting. When a sled is called a Slash from Polaris, what that means is that it's got a cut-off tunnel at the back and it's tapered. This is a 155 with a 3-inch paddle and a short tunnel. And basically the idea behind the short tunnel serves two purposes. First, it saves weight, but that's not really the reason they do it. The second reason you would cut off the end of the tunnel, and in Polaris's case actually taper the edges of it, is so that the sled can dig down further in the snow. When you wheelie the sled, the snow flap doesn't catch in the snow as you're trenching. It makes the sled go through the snow a lot more efficiently, and it makes it a lot more fun because it'll wheelie and get the nose up without dragging the tail of the sled. The Slash models come with Patriot Boost turbo 2-stroke motors, which this one has, or Polaris's new 9R motor as well. So if you order a Boost or a 9R, you're getting a Slash. That's just how it comes. First thing I want to talk about though is ergonomics, because to me that's one of the most important aspects of a mountain sled. You can have power, you can have handling, you can have all these other things, but if the sled doesn't fit right, it's just never gonna feel right. For me, I'm 6'1", I'm a bigger guy. I can ride this sled sitting down on the trail on the way up, and it's comfortable, but the reality is when you're riding a mountain sled, you spend most of your time standing, and this sled has absolutely fantastic stand-up ergonomics. I'm tall, I'm 6'1", I don't feel like I'm hunched over. I can stand upright and still grab the handlebars. When I get off the side of the sled, the bars are right in my waist where I want them. So for me, for a guy my height, these bars are perfect. The other ergonomic aspect of this sled that I think is fantastic is this narrow seat and tank area. This area right here in the middle where the gas cap is, where your knees are sitting, is super narrow. So when you want to lean off the side of the sled on a side hill, you can get your body further off the sled because there's less material right here in the middle. So ergonomically, I can't come up with almost anything to complain about. The next thing I want to talk about is handling. I put things in order when we talk about them. So I put ergonomics in order because for me, that's a really important aspect of a snowmobile. As I said, if it doesn't fit, if I'm not comfortable on it, it's going to be hard to ride no matter how good it handles and no matter how much power it has. But to me, the second most important aspect of a mountain sled is handling. If the sled doesn't handle well in the snow, then it doesn't matter if it's got a turbo or not. It's just going to be hard to ride. It's not going to go where you want it to go. I feel very comfortable on this sled. I can do everything on this sled with a great level of confidence. It responds and reacts to my input and to what I want it to do very intuitively. If there was one thing I think could be improved in terms of, I guess it would combine ergonomics and handling. It seems like a weird one, but this pod right here is very high and it obstructs your view of the snow in front of you. If you're down low or if the sled's up high in front of you, if you're climbing or wheeling, it cuts off your view of the front bumper and what's directly in front of you. However, you do get a huge storage bin under here, which is great for your goggles and your spare gloves and whatever else you want to throw in there, so that's awesome. The Khaos has this full set of Walker Evans Velocity high-low shocks. These are Walker Evans top of the line shocks. They're position sensitive, they're fully adjustable, they're high-low, compression, rebound. Part of why this sled handles so well is because it's got these shocks that can be tuned perfectly to how you want the sled to handle. So if I want the front end to be softer and I want it to articulate more, I can do that by adjusting the springs and adjusting the shocks. If I want the sled to squat more in the back, I can do that. This is a 38-inch wide ski stance on this sled. You can see the forged arms, upper and lower. This is the mountain spindle, not the trail spindle. So this is a full-on mountain front end with Polaris's mountain ski with grippers on top. Obviously, I'm sitting right here on the side of the sled and this great big word boost down the side panel. We got to talk about boost. So Polaris's Patriot Boost is their 850 base engine with a turbo, and the turbo actually sits right here, and the exhaust can's right here. So it's very well packaged, and obviously the bodywork isn't different for a turbo versus a non-turbo two-stroke for Polaris. They're the same bodywork. Here is what I know about horsepower for a Patriot Boost. Polaris claims that it makes approximately 10% more horsepower than a naturally aspirated 850. The naturally aspirated 850, we have all assumed, we've kind of gathered information from around, is making somewhere in the neighborhood of 168 horsepower, somewhere in that neighborhood. So if you do the math, Basically, the Patriot Boost is probably making somewhere in the neighborhood of 185 horsepower. That's our best guess. It may be a little more, it may be a little less, and it would all depend on what dyno it's on, but that is what we feel this engine is making in terms of horsepower. It also has a belt drive, quick drive 2, so it's got instantaneous power transfer with very little centrifugal force. It's a great platform when you want to spin the track up as fast as possible. Overall, my opinions on the Khaos / Patriot Boost 850, 155 3-inch with quick drive 2 belt drive. If you want to have fun and you want to go out in the snow and just have an absolute blast, maybe you're not going to run the tightest tree lines, maybe you're not going to run the most technical lines, but you really want to have the fun, this is the sled